One of the most powerful ways to overcome pain in family is to remember how much you actually still love your family, no matter what's going on. It ain't even about forgiveness. It's about being there as much and as powerfully and as completely as you can for them. You don't have to say, I love you, because they won't necessarily believe it. But if you do things that are loving, then that makes all the difference.
Welcome to The Power of Family, the podcast where we help families talk, listen, and connect across generations. Hi, my name is Terry Willis.
And I am Dr. Sonia Toledo, and I am so happy that we have another episode with Tony Vear, and we're going to talk about the pain in families.
And Tony has done a lot of study. And Tony has written courses, and Tony has been teaching courses about the pain of family.
It's a difficult topic because I know that I'm still struggling with my family's pain, from my siblings, my parents, to my own sons. So I'm really excited to see what Tony has to offer us, to give us some tips and tools to help us think about how do we now repair this pain that's happening, because I don't want to live with it.
I don't either, because I saw the pain coming out of my granddaughter. And I know if that's just one of my grandchildren, the others somewhere are feeling that same pain as well. So I am ready to bring Tony on, and let's hear what he has to say and see if he can help us find some steps for our listening audience.
So I'm excited to have Tony Vear here. Tony, I know that you have dived deep into relationship. Tell me why, who you are. Why did you choose relationship as a niche that you are an expert in?
Yes, my name is Tony Vear, and I am a relationship coach and trainer. And I actually found out later in life that I was born to be doing this. I first became a coach because I did this class, this workshop called the Sterling Men's Weekend. And while I was in there, I discovered that I was in the middle of my second marriage, and it sucked. And he said, well, and I told him what was going on. He said, well, you should probably leave in the next year or sooner, bro. It's not going to work. I described it to him. And then I was in a meeting with a couple of groups who was having an open house meeting. And one of the fellas said, hey, where you want to be at? You want to be in the long-term committed relationship section, or you want to be in the short-term recreational section? I said, long-term committed. He said, why? He says, I know how to get into a short-term recreational. I need to get into long-term committed. And the guy's like, really? And so they made me go there. And we took out 7 guys to a party on Tuesday evening in December in the meatpacking district of Manhattan. And they loved what I had to say so much they wouldn't leave me alone for the next 2 years. I finally decided, okay, fine, maybe I should really do this.
Nice.
Set the stage.
Yep, indeed. This was in 2006, crying out loud. Anyhow, that's how I got started.
Okay.
We want to get deep into families, and we know that relationships with our families are probably the most complex. How could we talk about overcoming pain in our family unit?
Well, one of the most powerful ways to overcome pain in family is to remember how much you actually still love your family, no matter what's going on. I know that, for example, one of my 2 daughters, I have a 38-year-old and a 43-year-old daughter. And I just talked to my younger one yesterday, and it was adorable. Oh my God. I wanted to hug her through my phone. I just did. But there was a time when she was so pissed off at me that she started hitting me in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I still love her. I was frustrated. Like, what I got to do to stop this? But really, I just listened to her, recreated her, so to speak, and let her express herself until she got it all out of her and there was nothing left. And that's one of the best ways to do it, is to let people just vent, scream, vomit if they have to, so that you could hear them. And then they realize how much you respect them by listening to them.
That's very powerful. I could relate to this. I also have 2 sons, and my oldest son has been expressing a lot of anger towards me. I don't want to be the result of his anger. How do we balance that?
Well, to help him, because you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
To help him is one thing I would recommend is to give him some opportunities to experience being loved by you. I'll give you an example. I don't know how well it's going to match with you, but it might give you some idea. When I was young, my mom was my bully boss. And she would make me do all kind of stuff, but she would never tell my sister, who's my Irish twin, which, by the way, for those who don't know what Irish twins are, these are two siblings who were born less than 12 months apart.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I was mad. Like, how come you don't tell my sister to go to the store, do this, that, and the other? And she got mad at me. She says, listen, you can't complain. You can only say one thing. And she told me I can only say, dag, Ma. and then I had to go down, walk down 5 flights of stairs, go to the store, take out the garbage, and don't complain. And then one day she was whipping my butt, and I think I was 12 years old. I could handle it then. I was looking at her like, this ain't bothering me. She got so pissed, she threw me on the ground and started kicking and screaming at me and all violent. And then after that, 2 days later, she said, listen, okay, I apologize for doing that. I got to find another way to deal with you. We're never going to do that again. And then she got in her 50s, cancer. And I would come to her place, and I found out then that what she was having me do was doing the honey-do list. And I discovered that I was doing honey-do. So I was like, so I would come in, hey, Ma, you want me to go to the store, take out the garbage? What do you want me to do? First thing I would say when I would come visit her. She loved it. So I had to get over it myself, but Mom, she also had to get over it. And it took some years to get there, but that's how it worked. So giving your son an opportunity to express himself and then giving him an opportunity to experience your connection with each other in some way, shape, or form that you never did before is what I would recommend.
And I'm going to chime in there because that story that you shared about your daughter and her opening up and you're hearing all this pent up frustration going on, this podcast, it was built on my relationship with my granddaughters. And episode 1 here, it brought my granddaughter on to speak. And what she revealed to us, all of us back here in camera land, sitting on this side of the camera, literally gasped at what she opened up and said about me. You know, she said, where were you? Now, that had never entered my psyche in dealing with my grandkids, period, until she said that. And that is what I have been working on building back that relationship with her since then, and will continue to, because it's not just one grandchild, it's several of them. So I share your sentiments there.
I understand completely. Yes.
Being in the space where you're actually hearing where their pain is coming from.
Yes.
Yes. And, you know, speaking of my younger daughter, the reason why she was hitting me in the car one day was Family Day. And she was driving me. And both my daughters love cars because I used to drive cars when they was little, and they fell in love with cars. So they can't stop driving now. They just can't. Anyway, she was upset. She hit me up. And then about a year and a half later, she texted me and said, listen, I'm not dealing with you anymore because I don't seem to be any longer daddy's little girl. What? I was shocked when she said that. I had been working on it ever since. And then I started doing the partnership course at Landmarks in the Wisdom Division. And they talk you about how to communicate with them on a regular basis. And it took almost a whole course for them to start really interacting with me on a regular basis. So that helped me a lot as well.
What is the practice that you did to make this relationship better, right? So you took on committing and responsibility to connect the relationship. You took that on.
Right. Communication, especially the listening part, more than the speaking part. Right. Because people feel like they got respected and heard. They have a bit of a shift.
But what does your little girl mean to her? What did that mean?
Well, that means that I was special to her because she was special to me. And she missed that feeling special part.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
On my birthday, she usually sends me an image that my ex-wife, her mother, took of me and her, laying on the foot of the bed, looking at each other like this. And we both had a Harry M. Stevens hat because I was working at Madison Square Garden at the time. And she loves it so much. That's her usual gift for me is that picture. 1 year old, my little specialty. Yep.
But what shift for her? What made her think that she was not your special little girl anymore?
Because I wasn't coming around to see her.
And that's now we're getting to the heart of it.
Yeah.
Yes, I wasn't there because her mom was giving me such a hard time when we separated and then got divorced that every time I came around, she would beat me up and scream at me in front of them. And I was like, I can't let them grow up learning that that's how you deal with men. No. So I stopped and I just prayed, God, please, God, when they get older, can we get back together? And so that's what I had to do. And that's what I did.
But you didn't know that was affecting your daughter.
I didn't know it affected her that way, that deeply. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. I didn't want her to train them to be mad at me every time I come over. So that's why I stopped coming around. But when I realized that they missed me, even if I wasn't going to see them at their mom's place, then it was like I had to pay attention. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
In that same light, I'll ask this question then to you. Many people think hurt means something beyond repair. Beyond repair. How do you reframe that for families?
Good question. The best thing I could come up with is to not even forgive. It ain't even about forgiveness. It's about being there as much and as powerfully and as completely as you can for them. You don't have to say, I love you, because they won't necessarily believe it. But if you do things that are loving, then that makes all the difference. And I hadn't thought about it, but one of the key elements that would help people make this happen is understanding the 5 love languages, because it's more powerful and more important than just in romantic relationships. You could actually see somebody's love languages at work, how they interact with you. So understanding that 5 love languages is important. I know that both of my daughters, one of them is time. Spending time together is a big deal. So the best I could do is give them time over the phone at this particular point. And so they respect that. And then there's another thing that people need to understand, which I was given by Spirit. I'm a spiritual channeler, among other things. Yay. It's called the 6 highest aspirations for a person's life. And so they are in no particular order: wanting to make a difference, family, entrepreneurship, adventure, spirituality, or just being content, which is like Archie Bunker. I don't want to stay home, do nothing but stay home and send me some food. Right? So I discovered that my daughter's highest aspirations are family first, being content second. They don't want to do nothing but stay home with the family. And so I do my best to meet them where they are. And it's helping a lot.
Could you tell us about the 5 love languages? I did read the book, so that's a really good reference for whoever's listening.
Yes. Okay. So the 5 love languages are, in no particular order again, words of affirmation, public displays of affection, acts of service. I'll do this for you. It reminds me of a song, I'll do anything for you, right?
We remember.
Yeah, I bet. That's why I said it. Then there is time spent. And then there are gifts, which in many cases is money. But it's not just that.
Right.
And I discovered that, like what I discovered with my mom, is that for her, it was words of affirmation and acts of service. So I need to go do the honey-do list. But then I would talk to her and she would tell me to go to bed, and I would sit on the edge of the bed and talk to her till she fell asleep. Then I would go to bed. That was my mom. But my daughters, they are time spent and acts of service. That's their thing. So
quality time.
Yes, quality time. Thank you. Yeah.
Quality time. Yes.
That's the way.
Yeah.
So why does it feel so painful with family? Why the pain is so much more deeper when it comes down to family relationships versus other relationships?
Because the Brothers Grimm, you ever heard of those guys? Yeah, they were storytellers, and they are the source of almost all of Disney's fantasy stories, childhood stories, from Cinderella to all of that. And I know that my younger daughter, she loved watching Disney stories. She made me watch Beauty and the Beast with her when she was young. 20 times.
You count it.
Again? Oh my God.
Quality time.
Exactly. That's my point, right?
Sure.
So the point is that she was looking at me as if I was the beast and she was the beauty, and I was supposed to continuously protect her and listen to her. And I wasn't being that way. So what's wrong with you? So what happens is we grow up in a world where we believe in fantasies rather than understand reality. Nobody teaches you how to be a family member. You just find out on your own. And because people don't realize what it really means to be with other people, it hurts the most with family because, like, but I thought you was the way you was when I was young.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what happens. And when I was young, mommy and daddy used to get along. How come they're not together anymore? Or we used to be friends. And how come all of a sudden you start bullying me around or whatever? So, and God forbid if there's any narcissists in the family, this just makes it even worse for everybody, not just here or there. So, yeah.
But, it's interesting on how you mentioned the fantasy, right? Because we as children, we make up our own mind of what we think it's supposed to be like, and I could think about my relationship with my father really set the tone on how I'm having romantic relationships, how my romantic relationships evolved through my life. But there was always a void, right? Because the void was my father was not there. And just one incident, one image that I have, and I have a picture of that. My father was always in Puerto Rico. And then I think it was like my twin sister and I, we were living in New York with my mom, and we were probably like 6 or 7 years old. So that was the first time I saw my dad since I was little, a baby, a toddler. So it was a very big moment for me. It was a huge, like, oh my God, my papi is here, And I remember him saying to me, I'm never coming back to this freaking place again. What I didn't know was that the feud between my mother and my father is what had him say that. What I made up about it was, you're never coming back to even see me.
Right.
So that really played a big role on how I either avoided relationships or manipulated relationships. You get what I'm saying? Like, I just went on to believe that I wasn't worthy enough. So as soon as someone didn't show me, I'm out. Or I didn't choose people that were worthy of me.
Got it. It's interesting you would say that because my mom used to work 2 and 3 jobs, and she would leave me with this lady who was the bane of my existence named Miss Ivy. She whipped my butt 2 to 3 days a week on average per week. Oh my God, she was violent. And I was the youngest male in the house. On the low end, she had about 7 kids in the house. On the high end, she had as many as 30 kids in Cape May, New Jersey. Wow. And she taught me a lesson. And the oldest boy that was in the house, he taught me a different lesson. So the lesson she taught me, which actually probably helped me quite a bit in life, is one day she called me into her room and she wanted me to do something, some task, but I didn't understand what she was saying. I don't even remember what she said until she said the thing, which was, "You're a fool." And when she said it, it vibrated through my body, but I didn't know what that word meant. So I looked around to see if I could see one of the older kids, and I asked one of the oldest girls, say, "Hey, what's that? What's a fool?" She said, "That means you're stupid." What? Nobody's ever calling me stupid ever again. And I was 8 years old. And it's true, because I needed to be smart enough to survive. I did not know that, but I got that. And I didn't know how powerful it was until many years later.
Yes.
So yeah, that's it. That's one thing. And then the second thing I learned was from the oldest male in that place. Name was Craig. Craig had a girlfriend there, but nobody knew he had a girlfriend but him and her. But they were silent. So one night, there's four of us who sleep in the bedroom. He got up and he saw me looking at him. He said, "Okay." So I went with him and he went to the girls' room and he started making out with his girlfriend. Wow. They're laying on the bed and they're just kissing and hugging. Right? So he brought me in for the next 2 weeks. And the lesson I got was, wow, girls like boys. Get out of here. That was my first real relationship lesson. But what I really also did not know that I got was if I watch people, I'll learn. I got to watch them to learn. That was the other big lesson I got out of it. So watching your family, their actions speak louder than words. And even if they act like they're crazy, you don't believe it. But if you see something about them that's loving, forget about all the other stuff that you saw before.
What's the biggest mistake families can make when they try to fix hurt too quickly?
One of the biggest ones, I don't know if it's the biggest one, but it's right up there in the top 2 or 3, is you need to see things the way I see them. They do the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, rather than the platinum rule, do unto others as others want to be done unto. That's the one that's missing. Yeah. What that means is, how come you're not doing stuff the way I would do to you?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What the platinum rule is, okay, who are you? Let me give you what you need because I ain't you.
I hear you. I see you.
Right. I feel you. I got you.
I feel you. I got you. But it's the rule of, no, you should be this. You should be that. Because that's how I see you. I grew up that way. That was my mom. That was definitely my mom. The expectations were really clear and I didn't meet them.
Right.
We were a family of 7. Believe me, I did not meet those expectations.
I got it. And by the way, here's the thing about expectations. People don't realize how poisonous expectations are. Because here's really what an expectation is. An expectation is an agreement I made with you, but I didn't tell you that I made it. And then I wonder why you didn't honor it. But I never told you about it in the first place.
No, you made an agreement with yourself that you expected that person to be a certain way.
Yes, but in the person's mind who made the expectation, they think they made it with you. That's why I said it that way.
Mm-hmm. I think some families, especially parents, they want to protect their children from doing the mistakes that they did or not getting what they didn't have. So they have these expectations on their kids saying, I need for you to do X, Y, and Z, but they're looking at you and say, but you didn't do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But then,
my God.
It's wanting more for your kids. And many parents try to live through their kids, and their kids don't want to walk that road in which they are trying to conform them to. Sure.
Right.
Yes. So one of the things that I've learned is that we do have an owner's manual, humanity. Our owner's manuals are 4-year-olds.
Yes.
Because they're the oldest human beings who will live the way they were designed. And then they start looking at us and they're like, Daddy, what are you talking about? That's not how we do that. And what makes them go there, the first thing that makes them go there is their first horrendous disappointment, their first heartbreak. And when they realize that life don't go the way they thought it was supposed to go, they get a heartbreak and all of a sudden they start thinking differently. And they can't tell you how to fix you, but they can see how you need to be fixed. And they don't tell you and they go mind their business and start ignoring you. So yes, what you just said is like really touches my heart.
You know, what happens to families that don't even address this pain, this hurt that's there, right? Because it's not like we're getting deeper into why we get hurt or how we got hurt. But what happens if, the family doesn't even address the pain?
The best thing I could suggest, if they're not going to address the pain because they don't know how to handle the pain, is to address the other person's greatness, amplify their greatness, express that you believe in them. And there's a term that I've heard years ago called listen the greatness out of people. Mm-hmm. So if you can listen the greatness out of them, let them see how great you see them as, then eventually they'll start to believe in themselves and they'll actually believe that you believe in them, even if they're still pissed off at the other thing. And then once you get to a certain level, you can, have a conversation. Listen, what did I do or didn't do that had you feel this way so I could take care of it or heal it or whatever? But make them feel powerful about themselves first because you gave it to them. So they'll have the experience of being taken care of to some degree. And then you go back and find out what didn't work. When they trust you enough, or at least are starting to trust you enough to make that kind of a shift.
How can someone take responsibility for their roles without taking on all the blame?
All the fixing.
Yes, all the fixing.
Well, patience and observation. Patience is letting them be the way they are until you see an opportunity to do something about it. You don't have to force the issue because you want to.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't work. That just amplifies the issue.
Yeah.
So you let them be the way they are until you see an opportunity. Yeah. And then you take advantage of the opportunity, or at least you attempt to take advantage of the opportunity. But not every moment is an opportunity.
Right. Or a force opportunity.
Right.
Like, I need for you to listen to me now. I need for you to understand me now. I need for you to, that's just going to put more pressure in the relationship. So what you're saying is work on yourself, work on your own peace, work on your mindset and your vision for the relationship that you want with this person. So when the opportunity just shows up, it flows in naturally instead of it being forced.
Yes.
That's powerful. I mean, I think that's a lesson for me. Part about taking care of yourself is really getting into why do I feel the way I feel when it comes down to this person. So that takes some time to really get to understand the source of your own pain. If you don't know the source of your own pain, you cannot heal someone else or support someone else. You're just correcting somebody else because it's like you're making me painful. So you got to stop whatever you're doing so I'm not in pain. So unless you do the work for yourself, you're going to stop blaming the other person for your pain.
Yes. And I got to tell a quick story about me and my dad. My mom left my dad when I was 5, and I tried to reach out to him when I was 8. Because back in the day, we had yellow pages only, white pages for the phones. Numbers. Mm-hmm. And I called up and
some people are like, Gen Zs are like, what?
Right, exactly.
What are yellow pages?
Yeah, yellow pages. There's a phone book. That was the Rolodex before there was Rolodex.
Yes.
Anyway, I tried to call my dad, and he lived with our grandma. We call her Mane. That was her name. And we tried to reach out to Dad, and we couldn't find him. So, but after about 5 or 6 calls, we told our mom, "Hey, Mom, we was trying to reach Dad, but we talked to Mane. We love talking to Mane." And she's like, "Oh, okay." And then she called my grandma. We didn't find out till many years later. She called my grandma and said, "Never answer the phone from us ever again. We don't want him talking to. We don't want that." So she blocked it. So after about another 5 or 6 attempts, I decided I'm not going to talk to him. I'm not going to reach out to him again until I bump up into him, or whatever it was. Let's forget about it. So my high school sweetheart and me, we was dating, and she saw something about me. She said, "You need to meet your dad because you need your dad to train you how to be a grown-up, daggone it." Oh, my God. I met him when I was 19 because she made me do that. And then after about 3 months of being with him, and he actually came and we had a family gathering, me, Mom, my sister, and him. And after about 3 months, I said, "Mom, I hate to say this, but you did the right thing." Ouch. My mom passed away from cancer in 1998. She left me and my sister like $90,000 a piece. And I opened up a clothing store. And that's actually how I got into Landmark in the first place, where I met Sonia. And then I ran out of money about a year and change later. And I would go to Dad, and he would always tell me this crazy story. "Son, when you was 5 years old, blah, 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 blah." And so I was also upset because I couldn't go to him for money. He never really gave me any money. Most he ever gave me in my entire life was about $500 total. And so I came up to him and I said, "Listen, how come you can't help me? How come you don't have no money? How come you don't have no advice? How come you don't have nobody that has money? How come you don't have nobody that has advice?" And then I went to go punch him. Mm. He's like 3 years shorter than me, and I was bigger than him, I was going to kick his. And then he looked at me. He was scared, but he looked at me. And then I got so shocked I started to cry because the look he had in his eye was, I love you, Dad. I love you, son. And everything you said was right. I'll give you permission to kill me if you had to. He was going to let me beat him up. He was not even going to defend himself. When I saw that, I was like, wow, he really does love me. I'm starting to get a little teary-eyed just from that right now. Because I'm like, he was going to let me kill him out of love? Wow, he must really love me. From that point forward, he could never do anything wrong around me in my mind for the rest of my life. That was like shocking because he gave me permission to be myself. Wow. I can't even understand it. But because he let me be me, that was the end of it. I never heard a beef out of him. I never had a beef with him. He passed away in 2008. This was in 2001. I never had a beef with him ever again.
And it's coined now as a teachable moment.
Yes.
That was a teachable moment for you.
Absolutely. Yep. So when my younger daughter was beating me up in the car decades later, I was thinking about that moment. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but she wasn't going to stop hitting me. I had to tell her to stop. She hit me like 25 times.
Well, what you're expressing is that we have our own pain from our childhood, but we really don't know how to express this pain. We don't know how this pain is manifesting in our lives. So we put it towards our parents, right? So our parents are now the villain. And in our expression, it can show up pretty violent, as you express, or disrespectful. Having compassion for that, I have to say, is part of the work that I'm doing. Having a sense of empathy of whatever pain my son is going through, I haven't been able to hear it. I don't know if we've gotten into the place where I could actually honestly hear it, but he's definitely angry with me from childhood. He's expressing it in ways that to me is not pleasant for me.
Right. I bet.
It's not pleasant for me, but how do we move to, healing?
What comes to mind for me, for the parent or the person on the receiving end of this, is to do your best to identify your life purpose while you're here. I found out my life purpose in TMLP with Mickey Huber. You remember him, right? The TMLP, for those of you who don't know, is called a Team Management and Leadership Program. And it's about how to create results through communication. And it was June of 2007, and he asked this question. He still don't believe he asked this question, but he definitely did. The question he asked was, what was the sacred oath you made with yourself before you were born, and what are you doing about it? As soon as he asked that question, I started to cry because I knew what the answer was, but I never knew it before because I never thought of it before. And what I found out was that the sacred oath I made with myself before I was born was to have love present on the planet. And what made me cry was I wasn't doing a daggone thing about it before that moment because I didn't know.
Right.
And I say this because once I knew that, I couldn't stop trying to have love present. Which means that I love you even if you give me a hard time. That means I'm going to try to help you have love with the rest of the people in your life so that you can have a great time. Because love is around us the same way oxygen is. Yeah. We just don't know it. It's a part of our atmosphere. Matter of fact, love was what made oxygen in the first place. Thank you, God. But yeah, we need to actually understand what love is. If we all understand what love is, this whole conversation would be irrelevant. Because we would have problems, but we would get rid of those problems pretty quick. Because if people realize the most successful, wealthiest people with the biggest businesses, how they got there is because they saw a problem, but they didn't really see it as a problem. They saw it as an opportunity. And if we could bring opportunity to problems in family, we could turn our families into epic experiences. All of us, young, middle, old. Yep.
For someone who is hurting right now, what is the first step they can take? I mean, for someone who's listening and those who are hurting, what's the first step they can take?
Good question. What does love mean to them? Find out what that is. Identify what love means to you and give yourself permission. There was a story in this book series called Conversations with God.
Mm-hmm.
I love
One of
that.
my favorite.
I know,
1,
me
2,
too.
and 3.
Yep. I read a bunch more than that, but yes, absolutely. In one of the later stories, he tells this quick, short story about the little soul and the son. And the little soul and the son. So the son is God. There's a children's story. So the son is God, and all the little souls, all the spirits that are out there. And so he says, "Good morning, souls." And all the souls say, "Good morning, son, God. Good morning, son." And then he says, "How you doing?" "Oh, everybody's happy." "Hey, who wants to play a game?" And one of the souls first says, I want to play a game." He says, "Okay, great." And then the little soul says, "What's the name of the game?" And then the son says, "Forgiveness." He says, "Okay, but what's forgiveness?" And the son says, "Forgiveness is when somebody does something to you and you don't like it, but you accept them, and your acceptance is their forgiveness."
Mm-hmm.
And then son says, this little soul says, "Okay, I'll do that. But who would do that around here? Everybody here's so beautiful. Who would do something like that?" And then the soul on the other side says, "I'll play. I'll do it." Says, "Okay, yay! Somebody's playing with me, yay!" And then the little soul says, "What would you do?" And it's the funniest line in the whole story. Soul over there says, "I'll think of something." Then the son says, "Okay, now you're gonna be born. You're gonna go down there. You're gonna forget everything that we said up here, and go handle your business," or whatever he said. And then, and the little soul says, "I'm not gonna forget. I promise. I won't forget. I'm gonna remember." And then they go down to become born. They go down to Earth, and that's the end of the story. Because that story was really, that's all of us. We all have a plan before we come down here. That's why I think about Mickey when he asked that question, because he was asking me the question that the son said to me, the little soul back then. And we don't realize it, but we need to realize why we were born in the first place, because we're in partnership with God. It's not just us, you know? So I would say, find out why you're here and learn about forgiveness, because forgiveness is not for the forgivee, it's for the forgiver. When you forgive somebody, you free yourself, whether they get it or not. That's what I got.
Yeah.
Purpose. What is your purpose mean? Sure.
Soul searching, when we're so wrapped up in what someone else has done to us, or like what we say in the victim mindset, everybody's doing this to me, we lose our true selves. So you're speaking about really getting deep into your own soul search so you know how to forgive and love is what I'm getting of what you're saying. Because, through forgiveness and love, you then remove yourself from being that victim and like somebody did something to me. You start being purposeful in your life, and you're able to see the love in that person that you thought that, you would never be able to love.
Yes. And there is a structure that I identified years ago. And this conversation is profound for me because I didn't realize that I could apply this to families. I had this structure for romantic relationships, but it applies 1,000% to families. So I have a course called The Science of Relationships, the reality of happily ever after. And inside of it has 6 categories. 5 of them, the 6 categories, and they're the problem areas. And inside of each one of those 6 categories, there's a billion moving parts that contribute to it. So the first one is knowing you got to know yourself 100%. You got to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, the rest of life is going to be a problem for you. Number 2, you have to know what love is. Most people don't know it. But once you see love, you can't unsee it. Matter of fact, the first time I realized what love really is when I first met my high school sweetheart. We was on a bus trip. I grew up in Reverend Ike's church, by the way. We was on a bus trip from, I forget, on the Jersey side. And I'm sitting next to her because I was like, I knew everybody else. I didn't know her. Let me go meet her and know her. Within 40 minutes, we was already in love. And then we was together for 5 years. It was amazing. But that's the first time I experienced love in my body.
Yeah.
And I've had more experiences since then. But anyhow, you gotta know what love is. Once you know what love is, you can never forget it. And you can't let anybody else, you can't unlove anybody that you loved before. Third is understanding gender differences. Because men and women operate differently. If you don't understand gender differences, you're in troubles. Number 4 is emotional intelligence. Knowing how to manage your emotions. Dag nabbit. Most of us think they got a high IQ, except for in the emotional area when we're in the toilet. Number 5 is knowing how to deal with breakdowns, upsets, unfulfilled expectations, thwarted intentions, breakdowns. Knowing how to manage the breakdowns, how to deal with them. Usually the first thing you need to do is manage your emotions when you have a breakdown.
Right.
Then,
you got to manage yourself first before you go to potentially repair or fix something.
Right. And in my course, I use having a flat tire on the side of the road with a man and a woman and how they got different ways of dealing with this. Because she's like, you got to make me safe. He's like, I got to get out of trouble.
I love it.
They got different points of view, but they still got to handle the same problem, right? And emotional is what got them. And then the 6th biggest problem area is ineffective communication. Because if you have emotion issues, and the other person doesn't understand gender, you got a communication problem, regardless how good your vocabulary is.
Yeah.
So if you can learn how to manage those things in family, rather than just romantic relationships, you can solve pretty much any problem there is. I want to say this that we need to pay attention to and respect is that children think things differently than we do. And that's how come we keep evolving. Because when the Wright brothers created the airplane, they needed to come from a child's mindset to take it on, because the adults would have said, get out of here. That's not possible. Right. Get out of here. Right. So
true.
Youngsters invent things that we couldn't see because they could see our hypocrisy, but don't know how to fix it. But they could come up with stuff that'll eliminate it down the road. Happens all the time. Whoever created the internet, thank you, God. Right? So it's okay that they don't see things the way we do. But we need to teach them how to and support them in thinking the way they think so that they can create a new world. That's what happened with Moses in his 40 years in the desert. Yeah. They just had different mindsets and they was able to come up with new ways of living that the older folks couldn't do. So we got to give the youngsters a chance to be who they really, really are so that they could give us a new planet and take care of us when we can't take care of ourselves. Yeah. Right? So that's that. And then I have another concept that I'm working on figuring out how to deliver it. I call it the 7 worlds of love. So love of self first.
Yes.
Love of another second. Love of family third. Love of community fourth, which is our biggest problem for real. Love of humanity as a whole 5. Love of the planet as a whole 6. Love of spirit 7, which takes you back to the love of self because we're all spiritual beings in a physical meat pack. And I didn't realize this until this meeting, this session, about how I could apply those 6 areas to all 7 worlds of love. Wow. That is so amazing. Thank you so much for that. And
yes, we're building our audience. We want more families, people who are responsible for young people, people who care about our planet, period, right? Because it's all holistically. It's like we are influencing how we're going to create the future. But if we don't invest in our young people, right, we're going to just perpetuate the same problems that we've been having all this time. But, I really appreciate your philosophy. You have a lot of tools, and putting the tools in place is almost like these reminders of, let me remember that I love myself first. Let me remember that I can't love someone else unless I love myself. So how, another thing, now I'm going into what Judy Hall said is like, you tend to treat others how you treat yourself. Ain't that powerful? And
Well, yep.
that's exactly what you're saying is like you have to learn how to love yourself in order to be in love with anyone else.
Right.
Because
And
that's when you're going to really feel it and
right.
know it.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, it's worse than that. So what happens is when it comes to romantic relationships, I'll start there, is that there's only two different types of couples. Two people who know who they are and they can recognize the other person knows who they is. And the other person can recognize them and they know each other and then they stay together. People who've been together for more than 28, 30 years, that's because they know who they are and they truly love each other. And then there's two people in a relationship. They don't know who they are, but they don't know that they don't know. The other person don't know. And then they expect the other person to make them happy all the time. And then they wonder why it don't work. And then after anywhere from 5 to 20 years, and they only let us stay more than 10 years because they want to take care of the children. As soon as the children are gone, they're gone too. That's like what you said is exactly right. Wow.
Tell us where we could find you, Tony. Of anybody's looking for coaching and counseling in relationship. And of course, now you're open the door to some family members as well.
Okay. So first is the biggest place I paid attention to is my Facebook pages. I have 2 pages. One is the Tony Vear personal page. So you can hit me there and I'll be paying attention. And then the other page is called the Relationship Mastery Institute. If you inbox me, personally message me, I'll reach out to you. Another thing I could do is give you my personal email because I don't know how many people are going to reach out, but that's fine. My email is the Tony Vear Show at Gmail. And I like it. Matter of fact, I want to tell the story real quick after I give you all my contact information. I've been on Facebook since 2008, so I've been here a long time. And and I have a website that's in the development stage again called the Relationship Mastery Institute.com. And so those are the places where you can reach out to me. Another place you can reach out. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm about to say this. Is I've been going to Reverend Al Sharpton's meetings for about 3 years now. And the reason why I went, just to say, is because I love their heart, but I want to give them a new brain because what they're committed to is so powerful. And why it's so powerful, but how they're going about it is not working really all that well. So I'm going to be there and do my best to deliver courses and stuff like that. But if you ever listen to his radio about his Saturday action rallies, he talks about this guy named Tony. And that Tony is this Tony. He picks on me every week. I asked him to, and he started doing it. But it's such a good thing. I can't stop. I want to be part of the cool kids club.
There you have it.
I'm thinking 4th grade love. I want some 4th grade love, man. Come on. So my name there is called That's Tony. So I can be reached. You can't like email me there, but you can come and find out about me a little bit more because he picks on me every week. Oh my God. All right. So the last thing I want to do is give a tip on how people can think in processing family relationships. I have a course called Thinking Made Easy because our brain, we don't control our brain. Our brain controls us. We don't even know it. So we go through a 5-stage brain process. First stage is we observe something. What was that? Whether it's hearing, sight, smell, whatever, feeling, we observe something. Secondly, is our emotions pop up. We have a feeling about what we just observed, and it affects our perception. And then third, we have a thought about what we just felt. We don't necessarily have a thought about what we observed. We have a thought about how we felt about what we observed. Then 4th stage, we have to figure out, do we want to pay attention to our feelings or our thoughts? And then 5, we make a decision on what we're going to do. And what people don't realize is that feelings, I have this list of personal phrases that somebody named in 2019, named them Tony-isms. Okay. I'm like, what? I'm keeping that name tag on it. I'm never going to say that I created it, but I'm keeping it. So one of my Tony-isms is feelings are terrific servants, but terrible masters.
Mm.
And so you have to recognize, you have to be able to identify what your feelings are. And I have 34 courses. Another course I have is called How to Be Happy No Matter What. It's about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And so we got to be able to recognize, am I following my feelings or am I following my thoughts? Or my thoughts being told by my feelings? You need to be able to identify, separate the two. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Awesome. No, you have a wealth of, I love the way you break them down, because it reminds you of certain, either 5 steps or these elements, helps you remember that we are spiritual beings learning how to be human beings. And how are we operating? Are we operating out of our emotions? Do we let our emotions just control our actions? Or are we taking a little step back and saying, oh, why did I feel about that? What's the source of my feelings around it, right? Because sometimes it's not even about the incident that just happened, about something else.
Right. Yeah, you might have a memory from the past that had nothing to do with this present, and then you believe in the memory more than you believe in the present. Right.
And you're taking it out on the person in front of you.
Right. God bless you.
Right. So the opportunity is that, you mentioned emotional intelligence, which is critical. You mentioned love first starts with you. You mentioned you need to have purpose for yourself, so you're able to see the people outside of you, that it is love. You could love everyone. They're just different. There's so many things that you also emphasize on in order to have a relationship, which is one of my favorites, is you need to be present and listen with some empathy and compassion to the other person if you want to restore any rapture that is present in your family.
God knew what he was doing when he created each one of us. So if we can remember, why did God create this person and why are they like that? That would make so much of a difference, because I usually think about that when it comes to politics and racism.
Mm-hmm.
But God wasn't stupid when he created this person that I'm pissed off at. I got to find out why God created them so I can figure out how to connect with them. Because God knows what he's doing. He created all of these solar systems. Matter of fact, another one of my Tonyisms is, I know I'm really smart, but I ain't that smart, because until I can create my own solar system all by myself, I still got a lot of learning to do.
A whole lot.
A whole lot. And all of us do.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Tony. And we want to thank you again for taking this time to come here and share your insight with us.
My pleasure and my honor.